Hello, my name is Hannah Richards, and today I'm going to be showing you how to use the Ultimate Chicken Horse level editor. So we are down here in the level editor section, but the first thing we actually need to do is go and change the type of mode we are in. So in order to do that, I'm going to go on up to the treehouse, because as you can see here, it says free play mode only, and this is a blank level, which is one we're going to be working on. So let's go ahead and make our way up here. Up to this really big button up here that says mode. And what you're going to do is simply jump on it until you get to free play, which should be the last one. There it is. So now we can head back down, and now the blank level is unlocked. Right. Alright, now that we are in our blank level, the first things you're going to notice are they automatically give you a starting platform and a goal platform. Now, assuming you've played this game before, you know that the goal of Ultimate Chicken Horse is to get from point A to point B before your opponents, as well as trying to kill your opponents. So, the first thing you want to determine when you're building your level is how far you want the start from the goal, because then you will be able to manipulate these walls by simply hovering over it, clicking A, and then moving left and right with it. So there are limits as to how far you can place these. As you can see, when I hit this blue kind of wall behind it, it stops me from moving it any further. So there is an amount of, or there's a limited amount of space that you can move things. Same goes for the death pit and the ceiling. Just press A, you can move it up and down, but there is a threshold. So let's move this back up. So another thing you're going to want to think of before you start building your level is potentially a theme. That way you have an easier way of trying to figure out where you want to place things and what kind of things you want to build, because you're very limited with the types of blocks you can use to try and build certain buildings or props and stuff. So you're going to want to pre-plan ahead which type of level or theme for the level you want. So for this level, I've decided to go for a haunted house theme. So that's what I am going to show you how to build using the indestructible and other items that they give you to build with. So let's go ahead and start building. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the inventory. As you can see, it says Y to open the inventory, so I'm going to go ahead and click that. And here's the inventory. And this first page is probably the page you're going to want to focus on the most, because the other pages involve things that players can place and manipulate within the level itself. So if you put any of the items from pages 2 to, I think it's 4? Yes. Play may be able to destroy these items. So you're going to want to be careful of that, because if there's certain things that you don't want destroyed, you're going to want to stick to the first page and under the indestructible parts. Shapes for the indestructible parts, and you can change the colors as well, and then you also have these kind of moving items and stuff, but we'll get to those later. So let's go ahead and just build the main structure first, and I want the players to be able to go in and out of the house, so I have to make sure that there are openings as well. So that's something to keep in mind as well if you're going to build a building. Try and keep it, and if you want the players to be able to go inside of it, you're going to have to build based around that too, which can be a little tricky sometimes, but that's why I'm here to help. Okay, so let's go ahead and start off by picking a color. So for this haunted house, let's go ahead and go with this kind of brown color. So with the brown color chosen, you can see it changed all these parts. But let's say, for example, I start building the house, I'm like, I don't like the brown, right? So let's go ahead and just place a piece so I can show you exactly how it works. So I went ahead and just pressed A to place it. And then if I want to get rid of the item that I'm currently holding in my hand, I will just press B, and it gets rid of it. So let's just say I don't like this brown anymore, right? But I have like a whole building of it. I'm like, oh, I don't want to have to go back and change all the colors again. That's where these paintbrushes come in handy. So let's say instead I wanted it to be green. Oh, not that. It's a little bit tricky. I want it to be green. So I will go ahead and pick up one of the paintbrushes. It doesn't really matter what size. The size is just going to determine the ratio of what's going to be painted within it. So this one should do just fine. So you'll see that box is the ratio that I'm talking about of what's within it will change color. Unfortunately, you cannot change the color of the start and the goal, but as you can see, if I hover over, it already shows me a preview that it's going to color this item the same color as the paintbrush. And then in order to actually paint it this color, I'm just going to go ahead and press A. And once it does that little animation, you can move it away. You'll know that you've successfully painted it the new color. Okay, so let's go ahead and go back because we are going to want to use this brown. And once again, like I said, just go ahead, hover over, press A. There you go, it's back to brown. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with where we want the base of the house to be. And something else to keep in mind as well is all these items will always stay individual items, even if you like butt them up against each other and stuff. They're always going to be individual items. So you really want to determine where the floor is if you're building things such as like a big building like I'm going to be doing, because if I wanted to lower the floor or higher up the floor, if I build the whole building without knowing where the floor is first, I'm going to have to move each individual piece, and depending on how complex the building is, that might take a long time, and I might misplace or move things in ways that I don't want to. So the first thing is to determine where you want the floor to be. So for this level, I don't want there to necessarily be a spot where players can fall off, so I'm just going to go ahead and lift this up to about here. And then what I'm going to do is go back into the inventory, and I'm going to choose this dark greenish color, and I'm going to choose this very long platform. So what I'm going to do is, just so that we don't have to take up the whole thing, let's go ahead and just place it right here, and we'll go ahead and place one on either side of it as well, just like that. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move in the start and the gold, because I'm going to bring in the walls so that the player can't fall off these edge sides over here, because this is a good time to introduce you to the testing phase that you can go into, or the testing mode. So as you can see where my character is, it tells me to hold B to switch. So once I hold B to switch, it's going to put me in play mode. So let's go ahead and do that now. And it will spawn you where the start is, so that is important to remember. So if you're building a big map and you kind of have these different areas with like different types of obstacles and stuff, and you want to test the new obstacles that you place down, you're going to want to move the start to those areas just so that you don't have to start maybe like in the actual start spot every single time, because then you're just going to have to keep running back up and forth, and if you die, you're going to have to keep running back from the start and everything. So just place it near the area that you're trying to test out, and it will make it a lot easier in the testing process. So let's go ahead and move over to that testing mode. So as you can see, I'm moving around just like in normal gameplay, and as you can see, the death pit is right here. So since the wall is all the way over there, I will unfortunately fall and die. So in order to prevent that, oh, and you simply hold B to go back into the build mode as well. So to prevent that, I'm going to pick up the wall by pressing A, and I'm just going to push it up against the floor that we built. So now if I go back into the other mode, As you can see, I can no longer fall into the death pit, at least from this side. I have to go ahead and fix this side as well, because as you can see, there is still the death pit here. So let's go ahead and fix that now. Same thing, you're just gonna hover over the wall, press A, drag it, and as you can see, there will bring up this circle with a line through it if you can't place it. And as you can see, I am pressing A right now, but I cannot place it because the floor that I placed right there is in the way. So let's go ahead and just place it right there. And now, as you can see, if I run on over here, this wall is now blocking off that edge, so I cannot fall off. And then another thing to note is, because if you play the game, you know that you can jump off of the sides of walls and stuff. Like, as you can see, like, my character kind of slides and stuff when I interact with this wall. But with the side walls, you can't interact with them at all. They're kind of just there. Like, you can run into them and, like, hit into them, but you can't, like, bounce off of them, climb up, anything. So if you're wanting the players to go ahead and have a spot to climb up along the sides of or the edge of the map or something, you're gonna have to put some indestructible walls there, or pieces, just so that the player has something that they could climb up if that's what you want. So let's go ahead and continue building our haunted house. So as you can see, we put the floor down. So now I know where the base of the house can actually go. So now that when I'm building the house, I know that this will always be the floor, so I can keep building up as far as I want without having to worry about moving the entire house and each individual piece that I bring in. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start building out the house, and I will update you when I am going to start placing other items. Alrighty, now that I have the base of the house built, I'm gonna go ahead and show you a couple of the other indestructible items, as well as placing in other normal items that the players can interact with. So I'm going to go ahead and reopen up the inventory, and with these moving parts down here, you are able to basically create elevators and just other things that players can go ahead and jump across or use for transportation. And the players cannot blow these up, so like if you had an impossible kind of jump or something and you needed it to where the player has to use this moving bridge or moving piece in order to get across, then this would be a piece that you'd want to use. What I'm going to want to use is, I want to use an elevator type, or maybe this spinning type. So let's go ahead and change the color up so it stands out from the house. Let's go ahead and go with a green. So I'm gonna go ahead and select this item, and it's going to tell you which direction it's going to be rotating in. So currently it's rotating counterclockwise, but if I want it to rotate clockwise, I would then press one of the bumpers. So as you can see, when I press one of the bumpers, it goes ahead and changes the direction that the arrow is spinning in. So I'm going to go ahead and keep it at counterclockwise. So once I am satisfied with the direction it's going to rotate in, I'll go ahead and press A to go ahead and have it be locked in place. And just like the other items, you just go ahead and press B to get rid of it. And something else that I should mention is that let's go ahead and just throw like a random block in, or pretend I'm throwing a block in. So for example, it's coming in horizontally, but let's say I want it to stand up. As you can see, it says left bumper or right bumper to rotate. So if I press one of those, it'll go ahead and rotate the item, and you can rotate it 360, or you can just rotate it 90 degrees each way. So let's go ahead and put that away because we don't want that. And let's go ahead and grab, let's go ahead and grab one of these as well. These guys are fun to work with. We could put one here. Alright, same goes for this one. If I could pick it back up, you could rotate which direction it's going to move in. This one will have go clockwise, so go ahead and place that back down. And let's say I want another one on this side, right? But oh no, I already put it away. I'm going to have to open up the inventory again. Well, if I want the same type of object, if I hover over it, you can see that it says press X to copy. So if I go ahead and press X, now I have made a copy of this object. And the good thing about the copy too is that it's not necessarily a direct copy. So if I wanted to change the direction of the way this is rotating, I can. And just go ahead and press the right bumper again, and then let's go ahead and place it down right here. And as you can see, I can keep making multiple copies of it if I want, but if I want to go ahead and get rid of it again, I can just press B and it goes away. So there is one interesting item that I want to talk about, and that is the connector item. So as you can see in this little infographic, it kind of shows that like it attaches to these indestructible parts, and whatever the indestructible part is, it will rotate with the item that it's attached to. So you can use these to either do simple rotations, just as having these single blocks, or you can make really complex shapes and items or props, and you can have the entire thing rotate along with it. So I'm going to show you an example that I made before, which is going to be a baseball. So I'm just going to go ahead and build the baseball real quick, but I will let you build it along with me just so that you can see, or you can follow the tutorial for the connector verbatim. So first I'm going to go ahead and grab a white piece, and we're just going to go over to where we have some room for it to rotate. So we will go ahead and let's just go ahead and place one of those down and move the ceiling up so that we have, let's go a little bit more, just so that we have room to show you about the rotating item. So I'm gonna go ahead and rotate this piece, and then I'm going to go ahead and get a red piece, and then going to go ahead and get this red piece. And then let's go ahead and copy this over. Actually, put this on the wrong side. Yeah, it's supposed to be like this. Here we go. So, go ahead and get white. Put another couple of these in, then copy these over. Another white piece. Alright, so it's a simple little baseball. You gotta, like I said in the beginning, you gotta kind of use your imagination when you're building in this editor, because they don't give you a lot of actual props to use. So let's go ahead and now attach the connector to this baseball. So I'm going to show you what could potentially happen when you're trying to build it, and then I'm going to show you how you can fix the potential errors that you'll run into. So let's first go ahead and grab our rotator right here, and as you can see, I could still change the rotation. I'm going to have it go counterclockwise, and I will put it on I will go ahead and put it right here on this part of it. So if I just go ahead and put one connector onto this cog, onto this indestructible piece right here, right? And then you're going to want to make sure it's facing the correct way. So as you can see right here, this is facing correctly. But if I go ahead and pick it up and I rotate it and I connect it this way, well, maybe with, it doesn't just work with the cog. Okay, here we go. This is what I'm trying to show you. Sometimes it'll go behind an object, and this object is not attached to this one. So that would not work. So we would want to make sure that they're always layered on top of each other, always on top for connectors. But if I go ahead and swap to the other mode, but first I'm going to move the start up here so that we can actually see it. Let's go ahead and pick that up. Move it all the way on up here. If I place it down and I go ahead and switch, as you can see, it's currently only rotating that one piece it's connected to. So how do we get it to rotate the entire object? So let's go back, and what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to connect all of these pieces together with their own connectors. Now, this part can get a little bit tricky, but once you start placing them and testing whether or not they'll work when they're connected, you should be just fine. So this is the original piece that will rotate, so we want to make sure we're connected to that. And I usually like to match the colors, but you don't have to. You can use whatever colors you want. Then the next one is we'll want to attach this piece, this red piece, to that one. And then we will want to attach it this way, still making sure we're layered on top. And do the same thing for this one. And then kind of just duplicate that. Oh, as you can see, look, it's rotated the wrong way here, so I'm going to go ahead and pick it up and rotate it back this way. And you can copy these as well. Just go ahead and pick that up. That one there. Put that down there. Oh, as you can see again, it is facing the wrong way. Sometimes it's kind of tricky with the layers of it, so make sure that you're actually selecting the one you want. So let's go ahead and rotate this back this way. And then we want another one, so we'll copy it over. And as you can see, this one is facing the wrong way now. So let's go ahead and pick that up, rotate it, place that one on over. And then let's go ahead and get another one of these. Copy it, place it down, facing the wrong way. See, you'll run into this problem a lot. And if you're working with bigger and more complex objects, you might run into a lot more. Oh, see, placed it the wrong way again. That's okay. We'll just keep rotating and place it until it works. Then we need another piece to go ahead and connect these red pieces here and here. So this should be good enough, but let's go ahead and test it to see if everything's connected. Everything is not connected, as we can see right here, even though it seems like everything should be connected. So let's go ahead and take, oops, I could not seem to take it up. There we go. Go ahead and take this piece and have this connect here and see if that'll work out better for us. Let's try to pick it up again. Go ahead and test it. As you can see, now the whole baseball is rotating. And it is one solid object, so I can go ahead and jump on it, and it will stay together. So that is how you will make the kind of more complex, bigger, rotating, or moving. You can even put these on not only the cog, you can put them like on the movement ones, like the little elevators and the sliders and stuff. So you can do that too. Alrighty, now let's go ahead and talk about the inventory items here. So, like I said before, these items will be able to be interacted with and destroyed by players if they choose so. So, you can include these in your level, but I would highly recommend that not making them necessary in order to complete the level, because then if players blow it up, then they potentially won't be able to actually complete the level that you made. But you can go ahead and throw them in there just so that they could be obstacles and be sort of fun or fit the theme of whatever you're trying to do. So, let's say, for example, this buzzsaw, right? Now, this buzzsaw isn't necessary in order to beat the level. So, I just go ahead and place it there, right? And it'll do its thing, it'll rotate and everything, but if the players get rid of it, it's not going to affect their path. It's not going to negatively affect their path to where they can no longer get up to the goal up here. And speaking of getting up to the goal, I actually don't have a platform from this path right here to follow from this entrance to this exit to try and get up there. So let's go ahead and put one of those down. And like I said, if it's necessary to get up there, I'm going to want to use an item that will potentially not be blown up, which I know the indestructible parts will never be blown up. So let's go ahead and just use this green platform and go ahead and place it here, and then we can place another one here, and then the players can basically put that right there. The player can basically jump from here to here, wall jump, get up, be able to complete the level still. So, let's go ahead and touch on one of the last indestructible parts, which is going to be these barbed wires. They work like normal barbed wires, but just like I said earlier, as all indestructible parts are, these cannot be blown up by the players. So if you wanted to make an area where it's maybe difficult to get across, and you want it to stay that difficulty, and you don't want the players to be able to remove the normal barbed wire, you can go ahead and just use the indestructible barbed wire. So let's say if I wanted to make it a little bit harder for them to try and go around this way, just go ahead and place it there. You can rotate these as well and putting them on the sides of things and such. Just like that. Alright, the last thing I'm going to talk about is the modifier section. Now, I only found out about the modifier section when making one of my levels for the first time. And I thought it was something that only players could interact with, but it turns out that you can actually have custom modifiers set up to your level. So basically the players wouldn't set it up, they would jump right in and the modifiers would already automatically be turned on for the level. So let's go ahead and check that out. So what you're going to want to do is go to your pause menu, however you do that, whatever you're working on. Go ahead and hit the pause button, and then you'll see this modifier section. And you're going to go ahead and press A on it, and you can either have random modifiers set up, or you can go ahead and set them all yourself. And then if you ever feel like you just want to go back to normal, just hit the reset to default, and it'll set everything back. So I'm not going to go over each and every one of these, because as you can see, there are a lot of modifiers to go through. But we can just go through a couple of the interesting ones to just show you what they can do to affect your level. So the first one we can do is the gravity one. So this will change the gravity of how the players can jump, how high they can jump. And let's go ahead and put it on low. So we will potentially be more floaty with the low setting. Let's go ahead and go with move speed. Move speed is pretty interesting, make things a little bit faster. So this will change the way that the player's movement speed works up here. Because you see, we're still in the physics section. So let's go ahead and go to the weird and fun section. We can change the size of the player. So let's go ahead and change it. Let's go ahead and just be... Let's go ahead and be big. That'll be interesting. Then down here to the block effects. For the block effects, you'll be able to see that with these spinning items and such. So let's go ahead and change that from normal to faster. And then these are just basically like when it starts, it'll have these things going off and they could potentially hit the players and stuff. I guess we can go ahead and do Doomsday Meteors. Let's go ahead and turn that off. Or turn it on, and then we'll do a 15-second delay. So, if those are all the modifiers that I want on, I can just go ahead and go back. And then go ahead and go back into this mode. And then once I hit the play button, or once I switch over to the play mode once again, all that stuff will be applied. So I'll move the start back down here. Let's go ahead and switch over. You can see I'm a bigger character than I was before, and you can see the gravity has changed too, because I'm jumping way higher than before. And then soon we're going to be seeing those meteors potentially come down, and as you can see, you have the saw going a little bit faster than it normally would. And there are the meteors coming down. The meteors can actually go through the house. Oh my gosh, I can't even make it through there. So go over this way. Whoop. Oh, there's smaller meteors too. And just like that, made it up to the goal. So, I know the last thing I said I want to talk about, but there's a couple more things we're still going to go over. But these are the finishing touches kind of thing. So let's go back to the inventory. Let's go all the way to these last pages. You can see I accidentally flipped to a couple times. So you could select the background for your level. So the default give you this just blank sky background, but there are many to choose from. I think I'm going to go ahead and go with this mountain type one. So you can see it changed in the background a little bit, but once you go into that play mode, it kind of changes it more drastically, like these pictures kind of show. And then you can also change the music in the level based on the music in other levels. So you just kind of pick one that you like. For now, I'll just go ahead and select the farm. So it'll be playing the music that you would normally hear in the farm level, which is a level that Ultimate Chicken Horse already has. And then ambience is kind of the same thing, where it's like the kind of background sounds are going to be from that same map as well. So let's just go ahead and have them both be the farm. Or actually, we change it up. Have it be the old mansion. So with that, I think I've covered everything within the book itself. And then let's go ahead and act like let's go ahead and show you what that background looks like. So this is now the background, and as you can slightly hear, the music has changed. So let's go ahead and talk about the level fullness. So depending on where you're trying to make the level, or where you're trying to put it when you're done with it, will depend on how much level fullness you're going to use. So currently, we are at 22% of level fullness. You can go up to 100% level fullness, but once you get to 50% level fullness, you will get a warning that will let you know that you can no longer upload your video, you can no longer upload your video, you can no longer upload your level to the online server, so people online or people on other consoles or whatever cannot access your level. It will stay local only to whatever you built it on. And then there are some other restrictions when you get up to 75 and 80, but it will warn you about those types of things, so just be cautious if you're trying to post this level online, and you're going to want to stay underneath that 50% as well if you're going to go ahead and do that. So we're at 22% right now, which is kind of small, but this is just a tutorial. So let's go ahead and act like we're going to save this level out and go ahead and post it. So when you do this as well, you can always come back to the level later, and you will just have to rename it under a new name every time you try and save it, so that it won't manipulate the last current save that you had for it. So let's go ahead and save and share the level. So it's going to ask you where you want it to be saved. I'm going to go ahead and go with locally. And then if you did put any of the modifiers on, you're going to want to make sure that this modifiers thing is unchecked, because if it's checked like this with the X, then it will not put in the modifiers that we put in earlier. So I'm going to make sure that's off. And then you got to give it a name. I'm going to go ahead and name mine tutorial. Alright, and then you're going to want to pick the level type. So there are two main types of gameplay within Ultimate Chicken Horse. If you're a frequent player, you'd know there's party and there's challenge. Challenge is basically a time challenge where it's how fast someone can get from start to finish in your level. So a lot of those ones are more like the runner types, where they'll put a bunch of obstacles in and they won't have to worry about the other players just placing of their own items. It's just, they basically just run through and they interact with whatever you've placed in there. They have no interaction with the items whatsoever. And then the party mode is the one where the players are given random items and they can go ahead and place them in your level, try and make it to the goal a bit faster, make it harder for their opponents to get to it. So for this one, I'm going to go ahead and go with party, because I think that one fits our style a little bit more for the type of level that I built. And basically this is just telling you about, because you could potentially play it in challenge mode, but it's just setting it as party will recommend that the other players will want to play it in the party mode, not the challenge mode. But you could always play in challenge or party mode, whatever the player chooses. So then you're going to want to go ahead and save a local copy, but here you can see also the level fullness in a different way, where it's telling you how many items are actually, like, or percentage. I guess the the amount of the items that are taking up. I think it's by per pixel. I think that's how it works. I'm not too certain, but you can go ahead and see that there as well. But let's go ahead and save a local copy, and then you're going to want to watch in the bottom right corner is where it's going to tell me that it actually saved the level. So let's go ahead and press it. And it said right there, save the level tutorial. So with that, we can go ahead and go back, and then we can go ahead and quit, and we'll want to return to the treehouse. Alright, once we've returned to the treehouse, we're going to want to go ahead and open up the level editor. So you're going to want to stand in front of it until it highlights. When it highlights, you're going to want to press A. And it'll bring up this menu, and it'll bring you to the home page first, which is where people have uploaded all their levels. But you're going to want to go over to the local levels tab. And as you see, I've made many versions of my levels, and here is the new one that we just made. And don't be worried if it takes a little bit to load in or anything. It's just, it runs off of the servers as well, so it just runs a little bit slower. So you can set it to which kind of play you want it on. If you're going to want to edit on it again, you'll want to do free play. But if you're going to want to play with your friends and stuff, you're going to want to probably do party, or you do challenge if you want to as well. But for now, I'm going to keep it on the free play one, because you can only access party if you have more than, or actually, let's see if we can access it with challenge. So let's go ahead and load it into one of these 4. I'm just going to load it into A. So now that it's loaded into A, you can go ahead and go over here. And don't worry if it's blank or anything. Like, it's just, it takes a minute for it to actually load. So let's go ahead, and we are back in our level. And then I could always edit more stuff, do it again. So I will just show you an example of that really quickly. So let's say, for example, I add in, I don't know, this hay bale, right, or a couple hay bales, right? And then I want to save it now, right? So I'm going to do the same settings I did earlier, but this time I'm going to name it maybe tutorial 2, or like V2, right? So with tutorial V2, go ahead and put that in and do the same thing as last time. Save as a local copy, and watch out in that bottom right corner for that save. Alright, it says saved level tutorial version 2. So we're going to go ahead and go back once again. We're going to return to the treehouse. And now, as you can see, now it's loaded up in there. It just takes a minute sometimes for it to go ahead and actually load up the picture, so don't be worried if you don't see it at first. And like that, we have tutorial version 2 right here. And once again, we can just go ahead and set it to free play. And this time I'm going to load it up in the B section. So go ahead and press A on that. And then, as you can see, is now down here. So if I go ahead and jump into this one, it should have the hay bales on this one. And I'll go back to the other one to show you that one will not have the hay bales saved to it. As you can see, it saved all our modifiers, everything, and it saved the hay bales in here. So if I don't want to necessarily make any changes or save anything, I just exit out of here and go back to the treehouse. Now let's go ahead and check on this one, just so that we know that this is a different saved version of that level. As you can see, there's no hay bales up here, so this is indeed the first version of the level that we made. And that's about it for using this level editor. I hope that any of the information that I showed or said today will help you in building your ultimate level in the Ultimate Chicken Horse level editor. Thank you for watching.